Hey guys, this podcast is brought to you by Sacco Sportswear. Sacco Sportswear is a local business based in Barry and they produce the sportswear and training gear that you may need. Their stocks include tracksuits, hoodies, t-shirts, socks and so much more. If you're a local team or even a local football club that wants to provide the best kit for their team to play in, then Sacco Sportswear is the business to turn to. Even if you're not into football, but are into other sports, Sacco Sportswear also provides you with the best gear when you go to the boxing gyms, or even play rugby, tennis, and so much more. They don't just do training gear, or any outfits at all, and if you're just looking for something to wear in general, then they also provide the leisure outfits as well. And want to inquire, then get in contact via social media. If you want to look them up on Facebook, just type in Sacco Sportswear. On Twitter, it's at Sacco Sportswear, no capitals and no gaps at all. Or even on Instagram, same again, Sacco Sportswear with no gaps. Or even then, if you want to send them an email, it's at saccosportswear@gmail.com. They won't disappoint you, so get in touch. Sacco Sportswear on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or you can email again on saccosportswear@gmail.com. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome to the Dragon's Voice podcast. I am your host, truly Rhys, and welcome back for another episode. And I'm really knackered because I've got a new job and it's just been absolutely exhausting for me, especially working at home because there's a lot of things I need to get done. And we've got the Euros underway. And with this podcast being recorded, pre-recorded, actually, I should say, that I've only just recently found out that the official song is coming out towards the end of May. So probably by the time this podcast comes out, it's releasing on the same day or around about the same day as the official song. So happy days. But anyway, we got to crack on with the next guest, you know, because I'm very fortunate to get as many people on the show as much as possible. And this one's been a long time coming because I remember going back when the Dragon's Voice podcast first started. I think it was in sometime in June time last year. We tried to do a podcast, but signals, Wi-Fi and everything and technology were not our strong forte for both of us. And it's been a long time coming. We've been trying to get a proper day and date, but at one point I'm busy, then Chris is busy, then I'm busy, then Chris is busy. So it was just a bit of a ping pong situation, but regardless, we're back on it. And if you can, I got my headphones in, but my missus is in the background taking the mickey out of me. But I've got him on. It's Chris Summers. Chris, finally.
Finally here. Yeah.
Oh, my God. So, I mean, the last time we tried doing this, what was it? We got about, half hour into it, but the signal kept going in and out. And we were
probably my fault.
Yeah. But in all fairness, we probably got some good stories, you know, to talk about, especially that people don't know the fact that Cwmbran played against Celtic, and I believe you were part of the squad that played against them.
That's right, yeah.
And, you know, you got some stories to tell because, you know, you played with Inter Cardiff, Cardiff City, you played in the Welsh Premier League, one of the, in the top 5 top goal scorers, you know, alongside with Mark Lloyd-Williams and Rhys and Chris Venables. I mean, you're up there, you've made a name for yourself, and I think you're in the Welsh Premier League Hall of Fame, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. You managed to make it in there somehow. That makes me feel old, man. So,
so when you found out, because I imagine that you found out around about the time, because when I did my research, I remember that Tony Wilcox, your gaffer, Cwmbran Town legend, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, but I believe you handed his widow a trophy, was it? A trophy to say, oh, you know, he deserves to be, his name deserves to be.
We both went to the Hall of Fame at the same time. So yeah, we were at the match, Cwmbran match. And we didn't really know why we were there, like, but obviously then the guys presented us up with the Hall of Fame things, you know, and obviously Tony's widow was there as well.
When did you find out that you were being nominated?
Well, it didn't until I got there, until I actually got to the stadium. So I thought it was just like a thing for Tony, you know.
Mm.
And he said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to be present you to go into the Hall of Fame." I was like, "Oh, wow!" You know, to be honoured like that at the same time as Tony as well. Well, it was quite a privilege for me, I thought.
So before we go on to Cwmbran Town, Tony Wilcox, because I mean, I mean, I've done my research, and it's a shame that Tony, the only people or the community of who know Tony really well is either diehard Welsh football fans who follow the Welsh
Yeah,
Premier League or even Cwmbran Town. So it's not really a big, massive, no disrespect to Cwmbran. I mean, they are, to me, I think they're a big club who just fell on short last few years. But we will
yeah,
get down to mentioning Tony Wilcox because he deserves so much more than what he's been getting. And it's just, I think it's underrated. But for you, it all started with Cardiff City. And was it the YTS scheme or was it an
it
academy?
was. Yeah. Well, I when I was still in school, I was 15. I actually signed for Newport County, the old Newport County, before they went out of existence. So I wasn't even in a round card at the time. So obviously when Newport then folded, I was up without a club. And going back, quite, it was a long night time. There was always a lot of scouts around at youth football games at the time, like, and obviously there was a couple of scouts there from Cardiff, and I'd gone back to join my local club, Hill here, and I scored a few goals, and they invited me down to train with the schoolboy team. And then, like I say, after that, then I was 6 months in to doing that, and then they offered me a YTS post then to start back in 1988.
So with the 1988, and you're coming into the early 90s, and of course, with Cardiff City, they're sort of in the 3rd division, 4th division, just around that period. What was it like for you to be in the dressing rooms, cleaning the boots for the Cardiff City players, and just to be at Ninian Park?
Yeah, well, even though I signed for Newport County, I was a Cardiff City fan, obviously, and being at the old Ninian Park, watching games, even though, like you said, the old 3rd, 4th division, it was just, the place was always bouncing, wasn't it? To be in the change rooms was a bit surreal, really. When you go into a YTS scheme, you're a bit of a dog's body, and you get thrown in to do everything. So anything I need doing, you've got to do it, basically. Whether it comes to, like you say, cleaning the players' boots or running off to unblock a blocked up toilet, So, but no, it was in the change rooms. It was brilliant being in and around, and obviously you were in all of the players, and a bit obviously been nervous to say the right thing or the wrong thing, the thing, and get a bit of flack off them. So yeah, it was looking back absolutely awesome. Going in those days were probably the best days.
Do you know funny enough, do you still do the youth for Cardiff Drax? Do you still do that now?
No, I'm not doing that now because obviously with my son from little, I followed him and coached his team right the way through going to the Drax, So now he's at an age where I can't really coach him, and I really enjoyed coaching the juniors through to the youth, and they're all the boys now, which were under 18s. They're all too old now. Half of them gone to uni and things like that. We were going to go, because the Cardiff Drax got actually into the Welsh League. We were going to do an under 19s team, but we just couldn't get the extra players in. It's just because obviously players either go on and want to play senior football, adult football, or they're well established in their under 19s team. So we had to fold the team, and I hang my coaching whistle up, basically.
I was going to say, because you've coached youth, the youth teams and everything, do you think that with major clubs, and I'll use Cardiff City for an example as well, do you think I know that at this moment in time, Mick McCarthy's doing a very good job in bringing youth players into his plans and everything, but do you think that the YTS scheme is a big missing key to discipline youth players of today's generation? Or do you think that there is a element where no, actually they are getting the treatment, a mature treatment of this is the real world of football, but do you think the YTS game is missing in today's modern football, would you say?
Yeah, it is in some respects, but then I would say massively in other respects that now today's youth football is far better because they've got all the sports science, they got the proper training, they're getting coaching off world-class coaches, Don't get me wrong, we had Bobby Smith who played for Man United. He was a cracking coach. But then with the YDS scheme, that's all the things that were lacking. Like what I just mentioned with the sports science, the fitness, and how to recover. We were just at the end of the week. We used to have a game on a Sunday, and we'd all just be totally so tired from just all the week. We train morning, afternoon. We'd be there early in the morning, setting everything up. We'd be there till late in the night, cleaning everything and make sure everything's ready for the morning. And by come Sunday, you think, oh my God, I got to play a game now. You just be absolutely, because the training was hard. It was really hard. We didn't get really that much recovery time, even though I enjoyed it. We just got on with it and did it. We never complained because that was what you did back then, wasn't it?
You did eventually make a few appearances for Cardiff City in the first team. So what was that like for you to eventually have gone on from YTS to now playing first team football? It's only a couple of appearances, but still, it's a big achievement to go and play for, your hometown club, Cardiff, especially, where they're playing. So what was that like for you? Was it a big, how did you get the information on, or how was you informed on getting into the first team to say, right, Chris, you're starting, you're playing for Cardiff, the first team?
Yeah, well, he always did. It came, you had a little bit of an inkling because you'd, in training, especially the YTS, like I say, when they used to slog you to death, they pull you back a little bit. So you'd have a bit of an inkling. And the old manager, Frank Burrows, would always call you into his office on the Thursday or the Friday, whichever day he chose, to break the news to say, right, you're in the squad this weekend, make sure you're ready for this, blah, 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 because to be fair to Frank, like he never minced his words. He was always honest with the truth, and whatever he said, he always did, And from a young player point of view, that's what you want, really, isn't it?
Mm. So how did the transfer from you going from Cardiff to Inter Cardiff happen then? Was it a fact that was it you that just didn't want to be around Cardiff, or was management having other choices and everything? So what happened? Where did that transfer of you going to main Cardiff City to Inter Cardiff happening?
Well, obviously you have the 2 years YTS, and then at the end of the YTS, and they either say like, okay, you're not good enough, you're on your way, or they offer you a pro contract. So obviously the 2 years of YTS, I was under Bobby Smith, and the first team manager was Frank Burrows. And after my 2 years YTS, I got offered a year's professional contract by Frank. And then obviously Frank left and went to I can't remember the team he went to manage them. He left the pre-season, and it was like, oh no. And then a manager called Len Ashers came in, and obviously when a new manager comes in, you want to try and impress and do the right things. But I don't know, we just didn't hit it off really. And at the end of the season, we had a free transfer. And but what I will say is, at the end of that season, after he gives a free transfer, Len Ashers was sacked after one season. Eddie May came in, and at that time, Eddie did approach me and said, "Listen, I want to come back pre-season, come training with us." And I was just so disillusioned with Cardiff at the time and the way I'd been treated by Len Ashers. I just didn't want to play football. Basically, I was real down the dumps and lost my love of football, and didn't even do any training in the summer. Just didn't do anything at all. And then literally, like, after that, my dad had a little chat with me, to be fair to him. He said, "Come on, pull your socks up, go up there." And I got a friend who runs Cwmbran Town. He said he wanted you to go down training. This was literally, I think it was about a week before the season was starting. So I went down, had a train, and really enjoyed it. The boys down there were brilliant. A week later, they had a first league game, and I was on the bench, obviously, because I've only just been a week training and stuff like that. And I came on, and we were 1-0 down. I came on and scored a hat-trick. I think it was within about 25 minutes, we went 3-1. And unbeknown to me, in the stand were Barry Town scouts. So literally, after I got home, literally after that game, I was approached by Barry Town. So that's where I went from Cardiff City and played half a game for Cwmbran Town, and then signed for Barry Town then for 2 years before the League of Wales started. So,
because I had to look at the list of clubs, and I mean it is a lot of clubs that majority of from Cwmbran, so you always bounce back to Cwmbran.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't say that Barry got you there first before you went to Inter Cardiff. Is that right, or was that?
That's right. Yeah, 2 years at Barry before Inter Cardiff, because it was still the Welsh League then. There was no, like you say, there's no League of Wales. But well, it's kind of like a League of Wales when it first came, when it first started. So yeah, I had two great years at Barry. Really enjoyed under Ian Love. He was manager there. So yeah, oh my God, that's probably the second best team I played in after Cwmbran team, you know.
Going on to Inter Cardiff then, so from 92 to 94, I'd imagine, so correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's right.
92, 94. So you made just over 60 appearances for Inter Cardiff, and then it was scoring about nearly 50 goals. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it. That's saying something. That's saying something, and that's just in the league as well.
Yeah.
So who just came up to you in Inter Cardiff to say, "Oh, do you want to come and play for us?" And did that manager then just say to you, "I made the right decision there"? And
well, the manager was Lynn Jones, and like I say, after Barry Town, after the second year, it was all going a bit wrong, and a few people pulled down. Basically, all the team left. So I thought, what am I going to do myself now? And obviously, that new team into Cardiff with the League of Wales, they were Sully, I think, it was previously, or something like that. They got together, appointed their manager, Lynn Jones, and actually probably I would say half of that Barry Town team joined Inter Cardiff, and that's what led me to join Inter Cardiff, really, because he approached most of the players to come and sign for him.
And afterwards,
Merthyr manager.
Yeah, and afterwards as well, because when you went to, after 2 seasons with Inter Cardiff, it seems to me there was another pattern of you coming back to Barry, but at the same time there was a back and forth scenario with Tom Pentra and Barry. It's like you went to Tom Pentra, then went to Barry, then went back to Tom Pentra. I mean, I'll ask this now. Was you a bit? I'll ask this now before going on to all the other stories, especially with Tom Pentra and Cwmbran and that. Right? Did you feel that you had to be on the move just to play football when you were bouncing to these clubs, or did you feel that, oh, come on, as someone at least keep you for 3 seasons or 4 seasons, even though you were scoring the goals? Or was it the need that a lot of people, because a lot of people saw you scoring goals, people thought, we want you, you know? What's your initial your opinion on bouncing to all these clubs then?
Yeah, well, it is nice to be wanted, and there was obviously various clubs contacting myself. There was quite a few clubs that turned down, but like I say, with the bouncing back before, that was due to injury with the Tom Pentra and Barry thing. Like, cause if you have a look, I didn't really make that many appearances due to injury. But like I say, I go back to Barry and the Inter Cardiff. After those 2 seasons, the teams just fell apart. I don't know whether it was down to finances or the managers leaving and something like that. Like, you know, but I would have stayed there if it wasn't for the teams basically all falling apart and moving their separate ways. You know, I would have stayed at Barry, and Inter Cardiff wouldn't have happened. So, like I said, if that hadn't happened, I would have gone to Inter Cardiff. And again, if that hadn't happened to Inter Cardiff, I wouldn't have gone to Tom Pentra and back to Barry. So I would have been staying at Inter Cardiff.
I'm going to go on to Cwmbran Town now, and my battery's going low for some reason. I don't know why that's doing that, because I've got it charged. So here we go. It's charging now. But going on to Cwmbran Town. So how did that transfer to you to go into your first spell at Cwmbran Town happen? Did Tony Wilcox approach you personally, or was it an assistant manager? So how did it happen?
Yeah, it came through Tony through Merthyr, because at the time I was playing for Merthyr. I just joined the fire service. So I took a break from football while I was during my training. Went back to Merthyr for the end of the season. Then the start of the second season then with Merthyr. I had a bit of an injury. I dislocated my shoulder. And when I came back then, basically couldn't get in the team. I was on the bench and having a few appearances here and there. So I don't know, maybe Tony must have heard about this and contacted the club. And the club gave permission for Tony to contact me. And then I went on loan. I think it was for the last 10 games, 8 or 10 games of the season. I managed to score, 8. no, last 8 games, I managed to score 5 goals, and then, like I say, I signed permanently then for them the next season.
I'm just having a look now at your career because when Cwmbran Town qualified and they played up against Bucharest, you went back to Merthyr, I had imagined. You went. So was you a bit gutted that you didn't get the opportunity to play in European football for Cwmbran Town, especially, you know, they were doing sort of climbing up the top. So was you a bit gutted you didn't play European football earlier than expected?
Yeah, I was good. That was probably my one and only regret in football, because you try not to have too many regrets, and you've got to go with your gut instinct and things like that. But that was my one mistake, and definitely should have stayed. Not just because, you know, it's home league, it's just because of the team as well, and the players there. You know, we had such a good team, and everyone got on well. Everyone knew each other. We were all mates. Like, and that was one mistake I regret, really.
And going on to, so one of your spells at Cwmbran Town, and it happened to be, you know, the one you started in 1998 and it ended in the year 2000. You scored more goals than you made appearances, so you were constantly on fire, becoming a top goal scorer. So, but during that period, obviously that Barry Town were the dominant force to be, you know, the irresistible force to be reckoned with. They were just cruising through the League of Wales as if it's, and I wouldn't say it's nothing, but it's just, you know, because they were professional, you were just cruising through it. And of course, the likes of yourselves, TNS Clan 5, Bangor City and Rill and everything, you were going at it. So what was the mentality in the dressing room, especially under Tony Wilcox? You know, did you guys ever, what was the target? Was the target to literally, let's try and beat Barry's winning streak and try and win the League of Wales? Was it that, or let's try and win the Welsh Cup through that way? You know, what was the plan really to try and be successful within Cwmbran?
Yeah, well, our plan was always to want to win the league and beat Barry. If you're going to be finishing above Barry Town, we're going to be winning the league, basically. So, yeah, our aim was always to win the league and do as well as we can in the Welsh Cup, because obviously, you know, when you're winning games, it breeds confidence, and you just usually, when you're winning one game with 2 or 3, the streak usually goes on for a pretty long time, you know. And the one year we played Barry Town the very first game of the season, and we beat them 1-0. And it, you know, for us, that was a great feat. And I think we must have gone on then. We were top of the league, I think, until at least Christmas time. We started to fall away a little bit after that, but that was a bit of a turning point in the season. You know, the wet, soggy, cold pitches, and I think it just took its toll. And we did finish second that season, I think. But yeah,
you know, I'm gonna have a quick look at that, because it was one of the seasons where, I will mention this now, and I'm actually glad to ask you this question, because I'm going to do with my work. I'm doing an article next week, and it's all going to be about Cwmbran Town v Celtic. Now, that was in the, what was it, the European Cup Winners' Cup or the UEFA Cup? It's got to be the UEFA Cup, I think.
UEFA Cup, sorry.
Yeah, because I think Celtic finished just behind Rangers.
The old UEFA Cup,
So when the draw happened and you guys drawn against Celtic, that must have been a weird, surreal scenario, just to go, Jesus Christ, we're going up against one of the biggest Scottish teams ever. I mean, they are UEFA champions. People don't know that. They're European Cup winners.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people just don't seem to realize that, because people just look at modern football now as, Celtic are just a mediocre side who win a lot in the Scottish Premiership. But I mean, looking at the history, so what was it like for Cwmbran Town to be drawn against Celtic, especially for you, just to be looking at it and going, holy shit, we're going up against Celtic?
Yeah, well, not just that, Celtic, my idol of football at the time was Ken Doug. Well, growing up, it's always been Ken Dalglish, and at the time he was manager and John Barnes was number 2, weren't they? So for me, that was even better, going up against Ken Dalglish, and not just playing against him or playing against Celtic, but actually meeting them as well, like, you know, and playing against the likes of Henrik Larsson, Mark Viduka, Stubbsy and all that. It was just mind-blowing, basically.
Ian Wright was playing for him as well, wasn't he?
Sorry?
Ian Wright, he was playing for him as well.
No, Ian Wright wasn't there. No,
Oh, is he? I thought he was there around
no,
that time.
no, not that time. No.
So where did you guys have to play? Was you playing at Ninian Park then for your home leg?
Yeah, home leg was Ninian Park. We got stuffed 9-0. they just moved the ball so well. We worked hard and we looked fit, but they were just on the level at Ninian Park. Henrik Larsson, Mark Viduka, they were just like, you just couldn't get the ball off them. And Willie Bolly at the back. Jesus, what a man mountain there is, guy. I've never played against a guy so strong in my life. He was just literally like, just bounce off him. But we played the return leg then at Celtic Park. And I always remember this. We ran out for our warm-up. We were there warming up. And about 10 minutes later, Celtic players came out and the place absolutely erupted. And myself and Tony were talking. We were literally side by side talking at the time about the game. And we couldn't hear each other talking. And we were literally from there to there. And the noise level just was, we were like, oh my God, wow, this is unbelievable.
And it must have been was it very intimidating to say the least? Because I mean, Celtic fans, along with Rangers and Scottish football, I mean, just some of the diehard fans there. I mean, hardcore supporters. They will always defend and back their team all the way. So, was it a bit intimidating, when you're playing against Celtic, and especially at Celtic Park when you're getting close to the line and everything, and all you hear is the Scottish Celtic just chanting or just roaring at you? Was it very intimidating?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking because, Celtic Park is such a huge stadium. There was 46,000 in the ground. And like I said before, with the warm-up, the noise of the warm-up, but then when the game started, it was a different level. But the fans, to be fair, were absolutely brilliant to us as a team. They actually applauded us off at halftime. We were only 1-0 down at halftime. We played really well. We created chances. Their keeper had saved a few. And to be fair to the fans, they clapped us off at halftime.
One of the things I wanted to know about the Celtic game, especially the Celtic tie, did you ever get to, I think you said you got to meet some of the players and the management and everything, but what was it like just to be in the presence of some of the biggest names in football, especially with Henrik Larsson and John Barnes, etc.?
Yeah, that was great. It's a dream really when you have kids and you see your idols on the TV. You always want to try and meet them and have a chat with them or a photo. Like I said, my wife at Ninian Park, she was a big fan of Henrik Larsson. She always loved him. He was obviously he was a great player. So we had a few pictures at Ninian Park with Barnesy as well, and Dougley. So we got them as memories, to show the kids and the grandkids and everything.
Did you get any shirts afterwards? Swapping the shirts and everything?
Yeah, I got a Celtic shirt there. They wouldn't swap the shirts on the pitch. What they did was they brought some shirts into the training rooms afterwards and said, "There we go, guys, you have a shirt each."
Oh bloody hell! I bet you gonna keep. I bet you got that framed and everything. You're gonna keep it for the rest of your life until it's like a hand me down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So I got to mention Tony Wilcox as a manager and as a person. What was he like to be around as a manager and as a person? What was he like, on the training facilities and at Cwmbran Stadium? But what was he like as a person as well? Just to either go out and have a drink with him or to do whatever. What was he like?
Yeah, Tony was the man's man. He was great. His man management skills, the way he would talk to players to get his point across was always, he'd always get it to you, he was so gentle, always softly spoken, very rarely shouted, very, very rarely shouted. And you just respected the guy straight away, really. He was, one of those guys you wanted to play for and you wanted to do well for. He come across so many nice people in your life, but I will say he's one of the nicest people I've ever met, Tony. Yeah, he's a true gent.
Going into one of the early stages of the early 2000s, not the noughties, but maybe it was around about the time when 2003, you guys reached the Welsh Cup final against, ironically, Barry Town, and this would be their last Welsh Cup final for a long time because shortly afterwards, the club went under for financial difficulties and were relegated the following season. But unfortunately, I think 2003 was around about the same year that Tony sadly passed away. And one of your stages of playing for Cwmbran. When did you hear the news, and what was the dressing room? How did the dressing room reacted to the sudden passing of Tony?
Yeah, well, crikey, we were all absolutely gutted because only a week before he'd come out of the hospital and he was actually at the game. So he was there at the game watching. I can't remember the opponents. I think it might have been Bangor, but I'm not 100% sure. But we all just wanted to get off the pitch to see Tony, and have a chat with him and stuff, and to see what he was doing, and how he was doing and how he was getting on. And he looked well. He was so upbeat. He's saying, "All right, yeah, I'm going in for operation next week." Blah, blah. And then, not long after, I'm hoping to be back. So we were all, really upbeat about it and think, "Oh yeah, great, it's brilliant." And then a week later, obviously, he died, and we were just totally it was like a smack in the face. Just couldn't believe the news. Everyone was gutted. We wanted to do as well as we could, really, for the remainder of the season, to honour his name.
How did Roger Gibbons feel? Because Roger Gibbons had to take over afterwards as a bit of a caretaker manager. So what was that like for him to be taken over? Because it's a bit like Chris Coleman when he took over with Gary Speed. It's just that feeling of, no one wants to really take over a man's job who sadly passed away. So what was that like for him?
To be fair to Rog, he's another nice guy as well. He's got such vast football knowledge, and him and Tony from the start of that season just hit it off, and they were brilliant together. So, we didn't have any problems with Roger taking over at all, because he was just embedded in the coaching thing and the team already. So he was obviously totally gutted to be getting the job on those circumstances. But Roger was just another great guy, and is just another guy you love playing for.
Is there any moments with Cwmbran Town that sticks out in your mind? Is there any good times with Cwmbran? Maybe a Welsh Cup final or a particular game, or what stands out for you during your time with Cwmbran?
Oh, there's so many good times. There's so many good times. Just gutted we couldn't win the league or the Welsh Cup when I was there, because I got to 3 Welsh Cup finals, 4 Welsh Cup finals with Cwmbran. The first season I was there on loan, they got to the Welsh Cup finals on a bench for that, but obviously being a full-time player the other 3 times, we lost 3 times to Barry and then 1 time to Bangor. So, but the good times outweigh obviously not winning the leagues and the cups. It's probably the best times as well. Myself and Matty Davis were up front. We had Richard Carter playing at the back, Jimmy Blackie, players like that. They were absolutely brilliant. Mark Evans at the back. The team we had was a team which we should have won the league with, really. It was just Barry Town for the full-time team. They were like you said, beating everyone. But I think just the achievements of sticking close to Barry and not being too far off him was an achievement in itself, I think.
There was with Cwmbran Town, of course, the stadium, and with they say it's 10,000. It didn't look 10,000, but I could be surprised about that because it's just one big stand. But with Cwmbran, it seems to me that they just had a big nasty fall from grace. Playing in I think it was the Gwent County Leagues now, but they're still around. But were you there when the financial problems started? And there's my missus going behind me. There we go. And so was you there when you noticed the signs that there was something not right behind the scenes of the club, or did you move on fully away from Cwmbran Town afterwards? Probably after.
No, I moved on fully, before financial difficulty. It was always a well-run club, really. While I was there, it was there was lots of people behind the background doing good things all the time. Really, they were was always putting that time and effort into the club. So I'm not really sure how they fell from grace, really.
Yeah, and
disappointed, but I hope they get back into the Welsh League now, because they're not far off, are they? I don't think get in the Gwent County League of actually getting promotion.
Do you ever go back and visit Cwmbran? Do you ever go and watch some of their games, or because of being being part of the fire service is taking a lot of your time, but have you ever tried to find the time?
No, not really, because like I say, with the Saturdays when I was coaching, the Drax got me involved with the first teams. Also, I was actually signed for the first team. I played a few games for them at the grand old age of like 47, I think it was. But no, the last time I was at Cwmbran Stadium, my son was playing for Cardiff College against Newport Colleges. That was the last time I was there, and I managed to see Pat O'Hagan. Actually, his son was playing in the opposite team, so we had a bit of catch up at the game.
There's one club that I have to mention, and that's Cardiff Grange Harlequins. I know you were only there for a short period of time, but they were on for the promotion pushes, and I think they made a brief spell in the Welsh Premier League. But I spoke to Darren Ryan about it, and he was naming a few some of the Welsh Premier League legends. It was like yourself, and there was a few others I probably just can't think of the top of my name. But what was it like to be? What was it like at Cardiff Harlequins? During your short spell there.
Yeah, it was great actually. We had Paul Giles there as manager, and I've known Gilo a long time. He's a great guy, and he approached me. I think I was playing for Pontypridd at the time, and we just finished the season. We just got promotion to Division 2 from Division 3. So he approached me, said, we're not doing a project. We've got promoted to the Welsh Prem. We want you on board. And he named the players he wanted to sign. I was thinking, oh, yeah, that's we were all getting older, if you know what I mean. But they were good players. So yeah, I think if it wasn't for my injury, I think we could have done a bit better. I think the first 10 games we were flying. I think.
So
yeah, I'm sure we were flying. Yeah, we done pretty well. I scored a few goals. I think I had Welsh Premier Player of the Month in the first month, and we were up there. I think we were up in the top 5 at the
time. Going on towards the end of your career, then, so there was Cwmbran Town, there was Abraham Athletic, there was Pontypridd. Where did you officially finish your playing career, and what club was it?
Ooh, well, like you say, I made a comeback for Cardiff Drax, grand old age of 47. But it was when I had my double leg break at Pontypridd. I did the exact same injury as Aaron Ramsey had. I snapped my tib and my fib, and basically my leg was pointing in the wrong direction. So an injury officially retired me when I was 40.
So you tried to make the grand old return with the Cardiff Drax then, and was it under Leighton Maxwell? Was it?
yeah, he got, because they wanted me to go and do the youth team, so I had a chat with him to take over the youth team there for two seasons, and he said, "Oh, would you consider?" Right, I did a bit of pre-season training, and then he approached me, "Would you consider consigning and when we need you, come and play for the first team?" So I said, "Yeah."
Do you want to? Yeah, come on. So come on, do you want to? Yeah, come on. Yeah. I think I got the last question here, but again, Chris, I know it's been a long time coming, and it's going to be I knew it was going to come, but it was just eventually when it was going to happen.
Yeah, we got it in the end.
We got there in the end, but the last question I got for you then, Chris, is how do you look back on your career?
Yeah, with enjoyment, really. I had a good career. I had like I say, a few different clubs. Wish I'd stayed a couple of clubs a bit longer, and the teams aren't disbanded at certain times. But yeah, I played with some good managers, and some not so good managers, and had some key injuries at key times. I think when I could have gone on and scored more goals and made more appearances, but that's football, isn't it? So yeah, achieved something, I think.
Anyway, Chris, thank you so much for coming on the Dragon Stories podcast and talking about your stories, especially with Cwmbran Town and the Celtic games and being in the Welsh Premier League. And finally, we done it. But
thanks, Rhys. Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. Appreciate it.
No worries. So, guys, that was Chris Summers, and this has been the Dragon's Voice podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Podbean. Follow us on Facebook. It's Dragon's Voice podcast. Make sure you... Hey, babe. Make sure you... Yeah, my missus is talking about she's trying to avoid the camera. But anyway, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on Podbean. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We're going to try and expand as much as possible. Also, thanks to our sponsors on Sacco Sportswear. Thank you so much for the support. And also, thank you guys for following. Just gone past the 50th episode now, but there we go. It's a dream come true, and I hope it keeps going. But guys, thank you so much again, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. This podcast is brought to you by Sacco Sportswear. Sacco Sportswear is a local business based in Barry, and they produce the sportswear and training gear that you may need. Their stocks include tracksuits, hoodies, t-shirts, socks, and so much more. If you're a local team or even a local football club that wants to provide the best kit for their team to play in, then Sacco Sportswear is the business to turn to. Even if you're not into football, but are into other sports, Sacco Sportswear also provides you with the best gear when you go to the boxing gyms, or even play rugby, tennis, and so much more. They don't just do training gear or any outfits at all, and if you're just looking for something to wear in general, then they also provide the leisure outfits as well. And want to inquire, then get in contact via social media. If you want to look them up on Facebook, just type in Sacco Sportswear. On Twitter, it's at Sacco Sportswear, no capitals and no gaps at all. Or even on Instagram, same again, Sacco Sportswear with no gaps. Or even then, if you want to send them an email, it's at saccosportswear@gmail.com. They won't disappoint you, so get in touch. Sacco Sportswear on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or you can email again on saccosportswear@gmail.com.